Hi, welcome to my guide on the Dark Ultra OmniKnight class. For enhancements, I recommend Full Luck and Mana Vamp. For the combo, I will start with 2-3 auto, 4-3-5, and spam 2 until Invictus fades. Then continue with 3 auto, 5-4-3-2 on repeat. If you are going against harder hitting bosses, wait a few seconds before using 4. Doing this will give you a strong HOT as well as a damage buff, which maximizes the class' offensive and defensive capabilities. This class performs very well at soloing as it is able to put out high damage whilst having great sustainability due to its high HOT. It can also survive hard-hitting bosses due to its damage reduction on the second skill and fifth skill when Destructive Aura is present. However, it can still run into some problems when soloing one-shot bosses. As for farming, although this class lacks AoE, it doesn't perform too badly as its second skill is a guaranteed crit. This paired with the haste and crit buff from its 4th skill allows you to land consistent crits which can take out low health monsters quickly. However, I still wouldn't recommend it for farming as there are so many better alternatives out there. Do not use this class for support as its only support skill is a 35% damage reduction from its second skill, which is decent but pretty much useless in most team fights, especially Ultra bosses. Overall, Dark Ultra OmniKnight is an extremely good soloing class with good DPS and sustainability. It can be purchased for 2000 ACs every year during Black Friday, or you could get it for free at /join courier if you have its original variant Ultra OmniKnight class. Welcome to the in-depth portion of my guide. For enhancements, I recommend Full Luck and Mana Vamp. For the purpose of this guide, I will be using a stable damage weapon to further emphasize the effects of the 4th skill Invictus. Starting off with the class's passives. At rank 4, you have a haste and spell damage increase by 20%, as well as reduced incoming damage by 25%. At rank 10, our hit chance is increased by 30%. This class follows the lucky mana model, so we gain mana back when we strike an enemy and we gain more when we crit. What's auto attack? It's just a standard auto attack that only comes into relevance when your 3rd or 4th skill is active. And for the second ability, Grand Sweep, basically it's a guaranteed crit that reduces the opponent's outgoing damage by 35%. As you can see, I'm getting hit by around 11, and once I use this, Crush is applied and I get hit for around 7. I keep dodging all the attacks. 6. Yeah, there you go. And for the 3rd skill, Inverted Light. This is where the class gets slightly more complicated. Basically, when using Inverted Light without the presence of your 4th skill Invictus, you gain an active called Resplendent Aura, which makes each of your auto attack gain a stack of recovery, which is basically a growing heal over time. As you can see, Resplendent Aura and recovery, and you can see my HOT starts to grow slowly. This is basically the defensive portion of the class, and is hardly in use because as it significantly lowers your damage output. And for the 4th skill Invictus, what it does is it gives you a haste buff by 30%, crit chance buff by 15%, and crit damage buff by 10%. When used in conjunction with a 3rd skill, Inverted Light, it gives you an active called Destructive Aura, which makes each of your auto attack gain a stack of destruction, which basically increases your outgoing damage by 20%, lasting up to 10 seconds. As you can see, Destructive Aura, Devastation, and my auto attack damage will slowly start to increase, and it's capped at 1008. For your last skill, Omni Reversal. Basically, when Destructive Aura is present, you gain an effect called Omni Destructive, which reduces your incoming damage by 30%. As you can see, I'm getting hit by 6. And when Resplendent Aura is active, you gain an effect called Omni Resplendent, which basically increases your outgoing damage by 30%. can see I have Resplendent Aura now, and Omni Resplendent. And you can see now outgoing damage is increased. Now to explain the combo, we'll split the combo mentioned earlier into two parts. The first part being the setup and the second part being the loop. For the setup, it's 2-3 auto, 4-3-5. The main aim of the combo is to activate all defensive and offensive buffs simultaneously, which is done by achieving both recovery and devastation stacks at the same time. For the setup, we first start with 2 to reduce incoming damage, followed by 3 to gain a stack of recovery. When we next apply our first stack of devastation using 4 and 3, it does not consume our existing stacks of recovery. The recovery stacks instead only fade after 10 seconds. Hence, during this 10-second window, we can apply both recovery and devastation stacks and use 5 to activate both Omni Resplendent and Omni Destruction simultaneously. I'll now do a quick demo for you guys. So we start with 2, followed by 3, and gain at least a stack of recovery. Immediately use 4 and 3 to gain stacks of devastation and use 5. As you can see, we have both Omni Destructive and Omni Resplendent. For the loop portion, the main thing to note is that we enter Invictus Fades to use 3. Using 3 before Invictus Fades will just refresh Destructive Aura, preventing us from gaining any recovery stacks. I also noticed that the HOT from recovery stacks is significantly increased when both Omni Destructive and Omni Resplendent is active. So if you are fighting harder hitting monsters, you might want to stack more recovery with your autos before using 4. Here's a clip of me soloing Eternal Dracov. And there we go, I've managed to hit around 4800 DPS. And do take note that I'm using a 30% damage boost weapon with Mana Vamp. Thank you guys for watching, and peace!